Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you may be in the world. This is Gift of Healing TV, and our session this evening is Thoughtful Nuggets and Pearls. And I am delighted. Oh, I'm Sara Jane, just in case you hadn't realised. I'm delighted to welcome Mahalia Michael to the programme this evening. Mahalia, great to have you with us. Mermaid Mahalia, I should
Great to be with you, Sara Jane, for our third interview together. Thank you so much.
Oh, it's an absolute pleasure. Thank you. And our topic for the programme is trauma release with whale sounds, which I'm obviously into trauma and release and helping people heal from that. And I love nature. So this is perfect. And I work with sound energy. So it couldn't be better. But obviously this, because Mermaid Mahalia, would you like to sort of just start us off on this? And then let's just see where the conversation flows.
Oh, I'd love to. Well, it was my journey about 10 years ago, being underwater in Maui, off one of the beaches, hearing the humpback whale sounds singing. And the songs were so heavenly and they took my heart. It felt like my heart just opened. And I, at the time, had just started doing brain recovery work with neural feedback and computer-generated sounds to my brain from my multiple head traumas, and realized I'd had PTSD and was living a very dysfunctional life. My brain just wasn't operating optimally. And when I discovered neurofeedback and sound, my brain started to repair. And it was then I was blessed to be on Maui at that time, hear the whales singing underwater. They were quite a ways away from the beach, but they sounded very close. And I've come to learn how powerful their sounds are. And what I feel the humpback whale sounds did for me that day was help me peel back and dissolve and unravel layers of what I call shadow frequency or unresolved trauma vibration that was held in my body, from stress response to stuck and stored emotions to my subconscious patterns. And somehow the whale sounds stayed within me, so that over these years now with many clients, I've used tones from my own voice that mimic whales that have helped them release their traumas and their shadow frequency and vibration. So it's been an incredible journey. And our whales, I believe, are here for us here on planet Earth. They sing for the earth, for the health of the earth and the oceans. And their sounds carry to us here on Earth to help optimize us and keep us advancing and accelerating as a sound being. We have this inner temple in our body, a sound chamber that knows how to utilize pure sound, and whales give us pure sound and pure frequency, as do our dolphins. So it's been a magical journey, and I love sharing this with people and seeing their results just from a little bit of awareness of our whale families and what sound and light can do for them.
And I think that's just it, isn't it? Sound energy. I think it's becoming aware of just how powerful sound is in all its forms. You know, I've said for a very long time, sound can hurt, sound can heal. And it depends what you are listening to and that vibration of that sound. Because at the end of the day, everything is a vibration.
Yes.
And when we listen to the vibration of a sound that is right for us, it can make a massive difference, not just to our mind, but to our physical body, and actually much deeper at a cellular memory level, which, and it sounds to me from what you sound, sorry, forgive the pun, from what you were saying, that the sound energy from the whales actually got to that deep cellular memory level within you, helping you to peel back and get to that trauma that you experienced and supported you. You know, And yeah, absolutely amazing. And it is find the sound that works for you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I even recommend people going on YouTube even to play when real whale sounds and to go in and listen to their different pitches, tones, their whistles, they're just communicating constantly different tones that come from them to communicate with their loved ones, to seek food, to protect one another, to travel long and far distances. And yet, when we think of the deeper picture, like I didn't realize I had trauma stored on a cellular level at that time. I didn't know how deep it was until the whales' sounds and their beautiful songs touched me to that depth so that I could unravel it. So if we think about Mother Earth and the core of Earth, let's say, we're on a beautiful big planet, that deep down inside of her is this diamond heart. So right in the core of the Earth, this beautiful frequency is coming from her. And just like we as humans cleanse our bodies, cleanse our cellular memory, we've got ancestral memory, we have ancestral traumas that, if we're willing to, will unravel. And the Mother Earth herself also operates from light and sound and frequency. And my feeling is that the whales and the whale sounds in all the oceans around the planet are polishing her diamond. They're helping her unwind her traumas, because we're talking kilohertz in how powerful their sound is. We wouldn't want to be swimming in the water close to some of the blue whale or sperm whale sounds. They can be very almost dangerous to the human body just because of their power. Yet the earth is so huge that she can handle it. She takes it in. And it's like she gets a cellular cleaning as well. So as the earth cleans, her vibration is raising up. And many people may be feeling this now, where there's this some sort of a new energy, an upliftment coming up, or they may hear the birds singing or see their gardens growing and wonder, well, how is that all happening? I go back to the whales, I go back to the core of the earth, the diamond core, and then I think of humans as this diamond structure. So inside of our bones, our blood, our heart, brain, and skull is our piezoelectric activity, quartz crystalline structure. Inside of our pineal gland is the rhombohedron type square blocks of crystal inside the pineal. So when we experience whale tones and the light of their heart, the blue whale having the heart the size of a small car, it's almost 1,000 pounds, and it beats about 8 to 10 times per minute. It has so much love in there and so much light that if we're willing to receive just a little bit of it, how much it can help lighten our bodies and clear that cellular memory, just the way they are doing for Earth.
And that's it, isn't it? It's that love.
Yeah.
It is that energy of love. And it's helping each one of us to tap into the love that's within us, and to realize that actually for me, our heart is our connection to our soul. Our soul is that pure unconditional love connecting with all. And the energies of the whales are such a huge heart. But actually, it doesn't matter that we have a heart so much smaller, because the love it can hold and that healing energy of that love that it holds is way beyond the size of the heart that we have.
Yes, it's the electromagnetic field of the heart, of the human heart. I invite people to think of it as this golden presence, or this golden flame of eternal love and light. And if it's in this electromagnetic field, which it is based on Heart Math Institute, the measurements they've done of the heart, and we think about that union in the unified field, from the electromagnetics of our heart to the electromagnetics of the earth, to the electromagnetics of the whale's heart and how much love they have. They're giving us up here on the earth, down deep in the ocean, and they are family oriented. They love their baby calves. They love to be in community together. They teach us so much about love and about recycling, composting, being healthy, producing more oxygen than all the trees on earth do by their composting deep in the ocean. And that in that electromagnetic field, if we go bigger into our spaciousness of our mind, and our concept goes into that unified field, the quantum field, and we are then one with the whale heart. We are one with our heart, and the heart strengthens everything, including, of course, the brain. So the heart's known as the first brain anyways. So what's happening, and when you look into even a photo of a whale's eye, a humpback whale, sperm whale, blue whale, their eye, the presence is breathtakingly beautiful. And you can feel the love coming right out of their eyes. So if we connect to the whale's brain, let's say, and the love that's deep down from their brain connected to their heart, it helps us instantly anchor into our heart and mind. There's really nothing, if we're in our separate self and we're in fear and survival, which trauma can create, those PTSD symptoms, which creates habits of more survival, more fear, more obsessive compulsive type thinking, more adrenaline producing activity, and we may not even recognize we're doing it. One look into a whale's eye, beautiful whale's eye with their love, can bring people back into that golden presence inside of themselves in silence. So a blue whale sound is subsonic, meaning it's inaudible. It goes so deep, the human ears can't even take it in. Yet in the presence of light and just the subsonic presence with their vibration of love, we can be elevated. And we are being elevated because they're doing it for Mother Earth. We are on this planet as ambassadors for this peace that we have here to, I feel, to honor and protect nature, honor and protect our own body temples. Say we have this one life to make the most of this life, to be as healthy and clean and as clear focused as possible with the intention for heaven on earth. And the whales have been swimming around for years, hundreds, thousands of years, saying, come on, humanity, let's connect with this bigger love now. And I feel like it's time. We're here. Like, it's time to feel that kind of connection.
Just briefly touching on talking about the whales and the oxygen, there is a film about that. It's a short film to do with trophic cascades, and and that it is one I've filmed. But just recently, you shared an interview that you did, and you actually did a demonstration of the toning of the whale sound. And I remember coming back to you afterwards and saying, that sounded a bit like a wolf to me, because there is another video to do with wolves and trophic cascades and the effect they've had on Yellowstone Park and the reintroduction of the wolves. And so it's the whole of nature. I've been very, very blessed to be up close and personal with wolves, literally. And so, but not to take away from the fact that we're talking about whales, nature is amazing. And if you've ever literally experienced, not from a video, as you've experienced the whale sounds, I've experienced the wolf sounds in person. And that's why that sounds a little bit like, but you said somebody else had said the same to you.
Yeah.
But who's to say that the vibration that they're both bringing isn't at a similar level?
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't matter because nature knows exactly what is required for her and for the whole of nature. And that does include us.
Yes, it's such an organic, natural flow for animals. And when they experience a trauma, what animals do is vocalize right away. They don't hold the emotion in like we humans have been doing for a long time. We've been trained to be quiet and really bury our feelings, stuff them in. So animals teach us to speak it out right away, then they shake it off and they get on with their life. Because we stuff it down, that vibration's stuck in the body and not spoken, seen, felt, and heard. Therefore, that organ or that body part may be get more of a density, which creates a symptom. So what I help my clients do is vocalize out their sounds that have been held in their body based on whale tones, dolphin tones, or even wolf tones, or we can look at bears or lions or elephants. They know how to use their voices, and I love encouraging everyone to use their voice, whether it's through the ha ma ga, just sending out some sound from the heart, the belly area, gut, and the root, or soft, gentle humming to change the neural pathways where the stress pathways may be ingrained. So a lot of people with our primal brain that has kind of taken over the lead, and we can see it in our outer world where there is more unnecessary suffering. We can see like there's still survival going on connected with the limbic brain, as opposed to a unification within the brain and body, which every human has that ability, no matter what their past has been like. So, but if we, through our thinking mind, keep the thought alive, the story alive. Say an event took place 10 years ago and I'm still obsessing over it, thinking about it, what I could have done differently, what they could have done, or the anger that may be connected with it. And if I keep it alive, those emotions keep pumping as chemicals through my body, I will degenerate eventually from just that one pattern. I will deplete. And whale tones come along and cut through all that and help us to wake up and go, whoa, I was in a story, I was in my separate body, and that may awaken people to their subconscious programs. As Dr. Joe Dispenza has shared, between about birth to age 6, we're in theta brainwave. Theta brainwave is beautiful, the mystical brainwave. It's like where we can access more of that unified field and more of higher consciousness. It's how I'm able to remote view or have X-ray vision, is through partly my theta brainwave and connected with the crystals in my pineal gland that release melatonin and DMT and serotonins all mixed in there, the happy, feel-good, bliss molecules. So, but if we are still operating as that 6-year-old who hasn't looked at those subconscious patterns that were developed from nonverbal cueing to, say, a parent or loved one or family member also buried their emotion and kept it stuck inside, had symptoms or labels or took medications for something, and they hadn't vocalized it out like animals do, like our beautiful whales do, then suffering can continue, and then we repeat it through ancestral patterns and ancestral programming. So I'm all for everyone singing, like vocalizing, not even necessarily in tune. I'm the first to admit that I don't sing. I wasn't raised or taught in music, and I was a quiet person a lot of my life until I realized I had to burst it out of me and clear the body of what had been stored, just like the humpback whales helped me to realize about 10 years ago. So now I'm always sounding, and it doesn't always sound pretty. It's never really in tune. The point, though, is my body feels amazing, and I'm not degenerating like I was. I had to wear glasses full time. I stuttered. I had panic attacks, fear, short and long-term memory loss, aches and pains in my body. And now I feel fresh and new and crystal clear, and my body is singing the way nature intended. And that's the same for every human. So, yeah.
And it is about, as a very young child, you do cry out if you're something you're unhappy about, something you're in pain about, because it's the only way you can communicate as a very young child before you actually get to be able to speak and be able to then say what is the matter. And that's like, it's like animals, isn't it? When you have a pet, a cat, a dog, whatever it is, they can't let you know they're in pain any other way than maybe even biting you, because you touch them and it hurts.
Mm-hmm.
They can't give you words. But obviously, as a young child, and I was listening to you, and it was just like, okay, I was less than a year old when I was hospitalized. And so, I'm not sure sort of when I started talking, but actually at that age, spending my first birthday in hospital, I wasn't able to vocalize. All I could do was cry because I wanted my mum.
Mm-hmm.
And, and you were saying that you're up to the age of 5, and I was thinking I probably, to a certain degree, lost all of that purely because of what I went through. And I felt that insecurity. And then, of course, I was vocalizing in the only way I knew how, but that wasn't okay, because you were being told probably to be quiet and probably much stronger language being used, but I'm not going to use that here. And and as you grow up, get a little older, you get the big girls don't cry or big boys don't cry, etc. And so you are not encouraged to let people know that you're in any sort of physical or emotional pain.
Mm-hmm.
And so I totally get that. We bury it. We get in trouble for doing something. And just the first time you do something, families might laugh because it's quite funny, but then they realize actually it's maybe not very good. But you get mixed messages of what is okay and what isn't okay.
Mm-hmm.
And so there isn't, who is to say what is traumatic to a child? And that trauma comes forward into our adult lives until we get to the stage where we work with it, deal with it. But we have to work with it. It's not just about letting go. In a lot of cases, it's about becoming aware of it so that we can dealing with it. And dealing with it doesn't necessarily mean anything huge. And sound energy, the vibration, is phenomenal in the way of helping people to do that.
Yes, and in those developmental years with that theta brainwave state, it actually is because it's in deep in the subconscious programming. We could operate like that up till we're 80 or 90 years old, not realizing we have those blind spots, as you're saying. We could live and continue operating with a certain way, yet having limitations, not realizing it. Yet if we look at the symptoms in our health or our lives, we look at how we are in relationship where things aren't working and want to still blame others, or we feel that shame or that fear, that survival response. It's really worth looking at what have we not uncovered yet? What have we not opened up to? And again, with all animal sounds and whale tones, is that peeling back the layers, and it does give us strength to help us look at it then, because not everyone really wants to admit where they have been messy. And it's for me, once we do, we create freedom. So it also depends on what a person really wants in their life. Do they want happiness and joy, or do they want to be right about their way of being? And if that way of being hurts others and or is dysfunctional in some way, then it's really up to the individual person. What the good news about sound is, if from those buried traumas, like for you, Sara Jane, at 1 year old, absolutely crying, wanting your mom, and you didn't know what was happening, and yet that can carry on through life, which we also talked about. And you mentioned the people pleasing thing, which I think a lot of women tend to gravitate towards that when there aren't their patterns resolved. But it becomes, what I've learned is a stuck vibration in the body, like a shadow frequency, that sends signals out into the world that will attract more of it, same to it. So someone could be married for 25, 30 years and not super happy in a relationship, carrying a dense vibration within them, not realizing it, and somehow that person's reflecting it to them. There's a vibration there, and with a bit of whale tones, let's say, just some delta, deep delta that transforms the delta of that density, they open and blossom like a flower, and that relationship can change. They can go another 10, 20 years, but in happiness and joy, because all of a sudden that density is no longer there. It doesn't have to be difficult, like you said. It's actually incredibly gentle and incredibly loving, and it just, I found it takes willingness from a person, just a little willingness, as Jesus says in the Course in Miracles. Just a little willingness allows that opening, and when we do, it becomes that freedom. So for me, I suffered a lot, and I was in mental and emotional pain. I always felt like I had this broken heart, and I could never feel that sense of lasting happiness or contentment until I uncovered the layers and looked at my ways of being, but also started to sound, really use my voice, started to let go of those vibrations and change my field. And then as I did, my life changed. It's not the only way, but it's just what has worked for me. Like, it's been magical to witness it also with working with hundreds and hundreds of people, probably thousands by now, just seeing how just a little bit of intentional sound we're talking, which I feel the whales are also very intentional with their sound. They have a purpose, and it's when we as humans use our voice in an intentional way, it's profound. It can move mountains. It's really special.
And it is. Yeah, almost preaching converted with me, because I absolutely, sound energy, it is so freeing, and it really doesn't have to be difficult. But you said people have to be really ready and willing to do it. It is not something that you can do with people if they are not ready and willing. But those people that get to that stage where they're ready and willing, and they realize that actually it wasn't as difficult as they thought it was going to be. It wasn't as traumatic as they thought it was going to be. It can be so freeing was a word you used earlier, and that's exactly what it has been for me, and it sounds like it's been for you as well. And yes, I work with sound. I love using the sound. I use sound on a daily basis, not just with listening to music, but with the vocal toning that I do. I'm not one of these people, I'm sure, like yourself, who says, oh, this is really good for you, but we don't use it for ourselves. That is the best thing that we can do, and just encourage others to do exactly the same. We are getting close to time here.
Oh, okay.
Would you like to share a little bit of the whale tones?
Absolutely, I would. Thank you, Sara Jane. And I want to add that when I had that achy heart, that feeling of broken heart, that was for years. And repairing my brain took me several years, and a lot of vocalizing, raw, just letting it unravel and unwind the way it wanted to, the way nature would allow it to. It wasn't a forced thing, and it was just not pretty, and it wasn't always comfortable. I just want to let people know that. But once they start to, they will notice the difference in their bodies. They will feel that lightness, and it will give them hopefully that encouragement to continue. And so I want to send a transmission from the blue whales first, which is, as they're subsonic, it's beyond the human audible range up here on Earth. Blue whales' tongue is the size of an elephant. It can be like they're massive, like just the biggest mammals on Earth. They're in the ocean. So I want people to just have a picture of them and their hearts the size of a car connected with this white cluster of diamonds, the largest diamonds found by astronomers way, way up in the outer galaxies and the outer reaches. And I want people to feel just the frequency of diamond light through the whale heart, the blue whale. They're an audible sound that's here for you that will come through just my fingers as they're codes, let's say, of light language, in a way more soul language that we all have access to. And it helps us open up our bandwidth to receive more. So feel the love of the blue whales just through my hands in silence. And allow the feeling of the electromagnetic energy of your heart connected with the blue whale's heart. And let it amplify the crystals, the quartz of your body to strengthen you and give you that resilience and that brilliance and that acoustic harmony and coherence in the brain and body. And then the sperm whales, the largest sounding whale, it's a deep, deep sound to release delta again, unstuck delta. Let the sperm whale sound go through the spine, through the brain, unwinding and unraveling in the cellular memory, connections to ancestry, connections to the teeth, connections through the bones and bone marrow. And then our humpback whales, with their moans, their whistles, their chirps, create electronic gating in our brain, which is like exercising the brain, yoga for the brain. And think of that as you're receiving the humpback whale tones. Feel it deep in your heart. Their love, angels of the sea. They've got whiteness under their beautiful big fins, flippers. And their love here for humanity is more to the surface of the ocean, the humpbacks. Let us feel their love. Anchiro koto quiero. Mio kotsore quiero toya. Hemawi kisumya quiero kuyat mo quiero toya. Shunoya kia moya quiero tsiro. Sara koto no amawi, yaro koto yato, ukama hanyorotaya koi, urato. Oh, thank you, thank you. Thank you to the beautiful whales for being here, for connecting to all of humanity. on Earth. They're here for everyone, and everyone has access to them. So let us protect our whales, our oceans, our dolphins, our turtles, all animals on Earth and in the ocean.
I couldn't agree more. Thank you. So I know that you was connect with the heart, but I actually felt that all around my head. And it was just like, okay, that's fine. If head is where I required it, head is where I got it.
Heart and brain connected, yes. Awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. I suppose I've done an awful lot of work on the heart aspect.
It's for any area of the body, in fact. When a human makes sounds that are intentional, as you know, Sara Jane, and with my understanding of neuroscience now and how sound does create that neuroacoustic regenesis, and we've got epigenetics and neuroplasticity, the changing nature of the brain, and even just with our breath alone, we can go into an alkaline state quite efficiently. The whale tones know where to serve people. It's not like, so I may direct it into your pineal gland, but in these particular tones, it was for the field, for the heart, and where it needed to go for anyone listening and present to it. The connection as I'm toning from my body is with my root, my heart, my brain, and from the root, all the latent, potent, creative energy from my root and sacrum up into my brain is there. So when we get into that alignment, and then we're sounding with a connection to the endocrine system from the heart, and with that intention for transformation, like and a transmutation from the past, bringing people into the golden presence of this now moment, their inner divine light that's always been there with them. That when we amplify that frequency now, as the whales clean away and wash away those old vibratory patterns, that golden light within can glow more. And by that glowing, naturally the cells will sparkle more. The body recognizes voltage, and it requires voltage to have transformation. So the whales are not only cleaning, but they're adding that voltage, and then it knows where to go to assist in the cells. And in a way, if you were to hook up to neural feedback with computer-generated sounds through little earbuds into the ears, you'd get that exercise of the brain, and you would probably feel it like you did, Sara Jane. The difference with the whale tones is it's cleaning what I call that shadow frequency, or the unresolved delta patterns from subconscious programs and or beliefs, attitudes, behaviors, stories we've been repeating, and buried emotion that land anywhere they want to in the body.
Yeah.
So that's what the whale tones do, is start to crack that open, unravel it with ease and grace, recycle it back to what I call the womb of creation, or the 0 point field, and then make the space for more light. Every human has their inner wisdom that knows how to then strengthen them, build their immune system, keep them healthy and strong. Now, for some, it could be very quick. Some, it may take a bit of time. And it's worth the journey. Like, we have a wonderful life here. It's an honor. It's an honorable purpose to have life on planet Earth. And I take mine very reverently, and I encourage everyone to. And when we start diving into this work, and we get that there's way more to this human body than we realize, we're this musical instrument, this temple for the voice or mouth of God from the throat. We sound out in a way that can move mountains or change reality. When we start to really tap into that, we can create this heaven on earth here. We can assist to feed the hungry, protect nature. We can serve to optimize just the well-being of anyone. So we lessen suffering, we lessen degeneration, we increase regeneration, we increase soul connection, we increase love here on the planet, and it's quite fun. It's not too difficult. It's actually fun. Suffering is more difficult.
Oh, we can have so much fun with sound energy. Margaret has said, I felt it around my head and left side of my neck. And Deborah said, that is where it started for me in my root up my spine.
Yeah.
So that's brilliant. And it is, it's when we work with any energy we offer to anybody else, and it is offer it to anybody else. We just hold the intention for the highest good for that individual, that the individual does with that energy what is right for them, and stay detached from any outcome. That is, for me, that is so important. Then you are giving that power to the individual.
Yes. They have that power within, and that's what I love about the whales is they're neutral. They're not attached to our outcome, and they're so forgiving and so compassionate and unconditional that they continue serving even though, based on history, we haven't been very kind to them, and they continue to love, and so they're here for us, for everyone, and we can all be conduits of their voices. I encourage people to, if they want to do the whale tone themselves, just a simple, so it's a high H, and then you go low. And I gather in groups, and we do whale tones as a group, holding hands, and the whales feel it. I feel them feel it. I have incredible. Do we have a couple more minutes, or are we done here?
Oh. Well, people are happy to keep watching.
Just okay. 2 amazing stories about whales, and there's probably thousands of awesome stories. My dear friend who is a killer whale clan elder, killer whale or orca, are really well known in around on British Columbia, Seattle area, and the Pacific Ocean. They're of the dolphin family, yet they're known as killer whale or orca. So he had such severe trauma up to age 9 in the residential school system, and such, we don't even, it's unspeakable what happened for him. And he decided he didn't want to go on with his life anymore, and knew he couldn't swim. So if he went into the ocean, he would probably drown, and that would be his way out. And because he couldn't handle being the trauma anymore. And he then went to a river that was going out into the ocean. He went face down and out into the water. As he was going down into the ocean, he heard this message: killer whales don't drown, brother. And all of a sudden, this massive energy boosted him up to the top surface of the ocean, where he caught his breath and started to dog paddle. And it was an orca that saved him that day. And he's now probably in around his 60s, and he is a spokesperson and advocate and leader as a killer whale clan member. So that story, then from that, he's gone on to help others who were abused so badly, and unraveling their trauma with killer whale energy. So Drunvalo Melchizedek speaks about a story of the founder of Greenpeace, who got a message from the whales in the ethers. So when we open and expand our bandwidth, we will hear more. Like maybe, Sara Jane, you had an imaginary friend as a child, or anyone listening, and you know, it was normal to have a conversation with them. For me now, as an adult, I'm 49, I have conversations with whales and dolphins and their, messages, and it's normal to me. And I don't think there's anything wrong with it because of the bandwidth. And then I look at the results of clients, so I know there's something here, right? So the founder of Greenpeace heard this message from the whales, and they said, well, we've got this, we have something to tell you, we have something to share with you, just we need you to be present, we need you to listen. So he went into an area where there's lots of forest and nature, and deeply meditated or was present to receive their message. I think it was 2 months or so later, and people can watch this on Gaia TV through watching Drunvelo's episode on whales and dolphins. And the message came through finally, and they said, if you want to believe that we're actually talking to you, we would like you to meet at this beach at this particular time on this particular day, and 100 of us will raise our heads out of the water, and then you will believe we are talking with you etherically. So he did that. He went to the place they said at the time they said, and with a group of people apparently, and then 100 whales raised their heads out of the water. Fact or fiction? He started Orca Labs after that. He's an advocate and has protected so much ocean life, the whales, the dolphins. If we look at the history of Greenpeace, they've risked their lives to protect the whales. And I believe the whales spoke to him like that. And that because I know they do the same with me, and they've helped others that I have interacted with who choose to have that little willingness and want to dance in this mysterious, beautiful, heavenly realm, that they also can sing whale tones, sing and speak dolphin tones. They can change the quantum field, or I should say, when, Sarah, you mentioned in the beginning of our interview how sound impacts everything. When I'm speaking right now, there's cymatics coming out of my mouth. When I sound, there's cymatics. If you think about it, it's like a mandala. It's a sacred geometric pattern with sacred math and codes of information. Every sound a whale makes is different. Every single one is sending a different cymatic, which means how sound creates shape, basically. So that can also be Googled, and you can actually make your own cymoscope, where if you sing into a little pipe and you had sand on the top of a drum, you could see the shape of your voice and the sound you make. So right now there's shape coming out of my voice. There's shape coming out when I intentionally tone whale tones, when I intentionally tone dolphin tones that have an intelligence to them, that then go enter the brain, enter the heart, enter the root, wherever they need to go to optimize to a new cymatic. Or let's say, if we're thinking of in musical terms, we have octaves and overtones. We create a new overtone, which becomes a new healing bath of energy. It becomes an optimized field. It serves the electromagnetic energy of the heart, the heart of the mind and brain, and then we expand into that field, and then more good comes to us. I've seen clients receive money out of the blue, new jobs, new health, new energy, new enthusiasm, better relationships, because the cymatic is changing, their overtone has changed, their voice. I encourage them to change, even practice using their voice differently, and then those miracles, which are actually natural, occur. And that's the whale cymatics. So just had to add that little bit more. There's always so much to share. So thank you. Thank you.
Oh, I thought I lost you for a second then. No, and it is wonderful, and sort of, okay, yes, we do try to keep these programs to half an hour, but it's as with everything. If it needs to go on a bit longer, then the information is there and it's to be shared, sort of, and everybody's obviously still watching, so and hopefully people will sort of watch the replay and watch the video on YouTube when it goes up on there, because what we're sharing here is important that people open up to, if it's not something they've been aware of. But if becoming aware of whale sounds as a healing energy opens them up to sound energy as a whole, to being able to change our lives, to grow in our lives, to be more fulfilled in our lives, that is the most important thing. It's about being able to live our lives to the fullest, being truest to ourselves. And we're not taught to do that. And if people can open up to the sound energy to help them to do that, that's wonderful to me.
Well, sound healing is ancient. It's thousands and thousands of years old. It's not a new thing. It's just that now learning how to use our voices as an instrument. Like if people are listening who weren't trained musically, like I wasn't, or I even took voice lessons and I still couldn't get in tune because I somehow have a different resonating chamber, whatever it is. I encourage people to love their voice. And their voice is more of a healing tool for their brain and body than my voice is for them. So when we get that and we get that, and this is based on Dr. Tomatis's work and his electronic gating that he taught and the electronic ear that helped kids and adults with hearing impairment, ADD, ADHD, focus, memory. So the replay of the voice into the ears trains trains the brain differently. It actually opens up the brain, their own human voice. It's incredible. So love your voice, use your voice, sing, dance, laugh, play. It's magical. There's light connected to the voice as well, and that light in the cells, everything is electrical in here, and we're constantly giving birth to new cells, new DNA. We're constantly rebuilding our body to be renewed and fresh. And like I'm healthier now than I was, I'd say, in my 30s or 20s even. I'm more flexible, just happier. The happiness level is skyrocketed because of being conscious of it now. It's a moment by moment self-regulating energy when we activate and illuminate the bliss molecules in the body, like anandamide or the dopamine or serotonin, or we cut back on that stress response and the fight or flight sympathetic into parasympathetic, resting, digesting, healing, and nourishing, and just you go into that state of calmness and nurturing. The body will respond with more health. It's everyone's birthright. It's inevitable. And then a little bit of humming, soft, gentle humming, also will help calm the mind, calm those negative thoughts, and open up more possibility, more light, and more resonance. Which, just try it and you'll see how fun it is. It's beautiful.
I think it's a passion both you and I have.
Yay! We're sound junkies.
Oh yes, very definitely, very definitely. Is there anything just finally that you would like to share on this before we close out?
Thank you. Well, I've been offering a group monthly free transmission on the first of every month at 9 a.m. Pacific for about 5 years now. So my next one is coming up. It's always the first of the month. It's always at 9 a.m. Pacific. It's only 20 minutes. And it's a transmission similar to this, only it's more focused, brain and heart. And it's whale dolphin sounds. It could be light language. And it's a way just to pump up and boost up that energy of the body and the field. So tune into that. Anyone can get the number off brain-bliss.com off my website. I usually put the new dialing code a few days before the end of the month. And I will be actually offering a trauma release with whale and dolphin sound program coming up, a 4 1-hour webinar series. So they could probably find that on my website as well. And I'm really excited about that. And we want to support people now, especially to look at those subconscious patterns that have kept them alive and safe. And the brain likes that, the lower brain especially. Yet how has it really been giving them the life of their dreams? Has it given them their superpowers? Has it given them this opportunity to expand into more joy and happiness and deep gratitude in the heart, and this feeling of being so blessed to be alive on this planet? So I'm excited about that, and I really want to thank you, Sara Jane. It's always such a joy to connect with you and share our love of sound. And next time, or maybe now, you could do some wolf tones, or
I've never tried that, but we could do a little bit of light language, soul language.
Love it. Yeah, baby.
So, kinteare me inyote e kainata ere no chi, ante I ai ki ote I tieme kota.
Muhuta tiramaho ekiano jan nim atu ukum a nikututo ik wasanyanyam utushanya yatya tamha wukusho enya.
Tire me kesh chikia. Even if you didn't understand that, folks, it doesn't matter. Your heart and your soul did. And we hope you liked it. Thank you so much for joining me with the program this evening. It's been an absolute pleasure, fascinating as always. Next week, I am being joined by Cornella Sturck, and she's a happiness energy coach. So we're going to be talking with her next week. So I hope you will join us for that. Folks, in the meantime, take care, be safe, stay well. Thank you, Mahalia.
I love you.
Namaste to you all. Bye.
Namaste. Peace.
Namaste.
Bliss.
Yes, lots of peace. Bye.